Hi, this is Miss Litton, and this is my wonderful Period 4 Honors Biology class. Say hi.
Hi.
And they were just monster quizalicious. And we're going to go ahead and now review just a little bit. When we talk about the immune system, the innate immune response is what you're born with. It doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any worse over time. The same response. It recognizes foreign substances and it attacks them. Your special forces, your acquired immunity, you need these guys to engage in order for you to actually get rid of some bug or bacterium. How many of you have gotten sick in the last few weeks? Okay. All right. Now, what can make it so you're more likely to get sick is if you're stressed out in some way. How many of you have been stressed out? Okay. So look at some of the same people that are raising their hands. Okay, that kind of stress can suppress your immune system and more likely to make you sick. This is why sometimes people would get sick right after finals. If you think back on your life and the finals you've taken, it's because you're staying up too late, you're not getting enough sleep, and you're not resting enough, you're taxing on your immune system, you're worried, and then it makes you, like a few days after that, you get sick because you're worn down. So what you need is you need your special forces to come in and take care of it. And special forces work in two ways. When a virus, if you have a phone, hold your phone up right now. How many of you have black phones? Raise your hand if you've got black phones. Okay, so we're going to talk about the black phone virus. How many of you have pink or red phones? Raise them up. Other colors of phones, raise them up. Okay, so let's pretend all the phones are viruses. Okay, the special forces, the way it works is there will be a B, probably just one B cell and one T cell. By the way, where do B and T cells come from? Bone marrow. Where do B cells mature? Where do T cells mature?
Wait, no. Let me thyroid gland.
Okay. There will be one virgin B cell and one virgin T cell that can recognize the black phone virus. There will be a different virgin B and virgin T cell that recognizes the red phone virus, the pink phone virus. Now, if we pretend like we are a body right here and each of us are cells, okay, the black phone viruses, raise your hand. These black phone viruses can move around in our plasma. What is our plasma? What is plasma? Liquid part of the blood. Let's remind ourselves what is dissolved in plasma. Big road trip. Gases, nutrients, proteins, salt, nitrogenous waste, hormones, and vitamins. Good. So they can be cruising through your plasma. They can be cruising through your tissue fluid around your cells. Okay? That's one place they can be. But also, these viruses, they could move in and infect one of your own body cells. So now we need two kinds of fighters. We need fighters that take out the free floaters that are around, and though she is one of our own body cells who we love dearly, she's harboring a terrorist now from Canada, and so we need to kill her. Okay? Why do we need to kill her? Yeah, because in a matter of hours, busting out of her could come 1 million more black phone viruses. Okay? So we need to be able to go, you harboring a terrorist? You're not harboring a terrorist. I need to kill you and I'll leave you alone. Okay? The ones that kill our own body cells, those are T cells. They do cell-to-cell combat. B cells, what they do is they will make antibodies that will tag this black phone for destruction. And as long as it's tagged, it can't infect a cell. So it disables it. And it's like saying, kill me, kill me, kill me, with antibodies all over it. That is your special forces, and we're going to break those down. We want to remember what triggers these guys are antigens. Antigens are on the surface of viruses or bacteria. In fact, you have antigens on all your cells too. But because they don't trigger an immune response in us, we don't consider them to be antigens. Antigens are if they trigger an immune response. So go to triggered by antigens, define any foreign substance that triggers an immune response. Any foreign substance that triggers an immune response. It's found on the surfaces of viruses, bacterial, or eukaryotic cells. Now, yes? Oh, we didn't get that? Oh, back it up, sorry. Natural killer cells. They kill virus-infected cells and tumor cells. Virus-infected cells and tumor cells. Virus-infected cells and tumor cells. And they are not specific. They have no memory. No memory. And they release protective proteins that stimulate B and T cells. That stimulate B and T cells. You good? Yeah. Okay, back to acquired immunity. Now, let's say my kidneys fail. And Jacob says, Miss Litton, I'm a match. I'm going to give you my kidney cell. He's that kind of guy. So I quickly have surgery, and Jacob's kidney is put in my body. Now, did Jacob's kidney cause any problem in his body? No. But in my body, all of a sudden that kidney doesn't say Winnie anymore. It says what? Jacob. And my body is going to go, danger, danger, foreign tissue. And what is it going to do to that kidney? To kill it. The innate response will go first. I'll probably have an inflammatory reaction. Probably have some neutrophils on the scene, some eosinophils, some macrophages going, oh my gosh, you know. And then eventually I will have a virgin B and a virgin T cell who actually recognize Jacob's kidney. Already in my body. If I got Jacob's kidney tomorrow, I have a virgin B and a virgin T cell in my body who will dock with the antigens on his cell and go, oh no, we cannot have this. That's why people who get organ transplants have to take immunosuppressant drugs, because they want to stop the response. And think about that. If I take immunosuppressant drugs so I don't attack Jacob's kidney, what can happen? I can get sick. And that's why I would probably have to live at my house for a while, and I might have to walk around with a mask so I don't attack his kidney. But it's amazing to me that I have a cell that could recognize it. Okay? Talia could move to India tomorrow, okay, and there come in contact with some pathogen that is there. And she will have a virgin B cell and a virgin T cell that will recognize that pathogen. And what happens when you recognize the pathogen, that particular cell will build clone armies, clones, who also recognize that pathogen and will continue to fight until it's eliminated. Once the battle has been won against that pathogen, we can't maintain those armies in our body. What are we going to ask them to do? Apoptosis. Please commit suicide. Thank you. You're a really good army. Super appreciate it. Now die. And they all commit suicide except for a few cells called memory cells. And they stick around for next time. And they recognize the pathogen a lot faster. Now, when you get a cold, about how long do you get the cold for? A couple weeks. You know why? It takes a couple weeks to find the virgins. That's why you get it. Like, I knew I was getting sick over the weekend. I could start to feel it on my body. I was super sad, missed the remember how my uncle passed away? So my flight was Saturday morning. Guess what happened on Friday? A storm, right? My flight got canceled Saturday morning, and I was super sad. I was crying, your poor little teacher. And I'm trying to get another flight, and I couldn't get in until 7 p.m. that night, and the funeral's at 1, so super unhelpful. And so I didn't end up going, and I was looking at pictures of my mother and her brother who had passed, and I'm sending pictures to my cousins and relatives, like, because they wanted memory pictures, and I was crying, I was suppressing my immune system. Guess what I got? I could feel it coming on. I was like super exhausted later in the day, and Sunday I could feel it, and I thought, oh, and I'm like, come on, virgins. Virgins, where are you? Because there's a pathogen in here, and it's trying to take hold. And I need my virgin B cells and T cells to go in there, and I'm doing everything I can to help my immune system right now. What can I do to help my immune system find those virgins? I can drink water. I can get plenty of sleep. I can try not to stress out, right? I eat a lot of vitamin C, okay, water-soluble vitamin. I suppose I eat, those chewable ones. I like chunk, I'm like, eat it like candy. Drink tea, all those kinds of things, hoping that those virgins get found. Because once they get found, they're going to build a what? Army. And that army is going to attack this, whatever it is, and hopefully destroy it. Now, if in a month from now, I get exposed to the same virus, I won't get sick. Why? Because I have what? Memory cells. And memory cells are more easy to stimulate into response than virgins. I don't want to hear about it. And so they respond super quick, and they'll generate a ton of antibodies, and they'll start killing right away, and so it doesn't gain hold. Just like none of you want to have polio. So what happened when you were young? You got what? Vaccinated. Because you didn't want to have 2 weeks of polio. You couldn't afford that. So you got a weakened version of the polio shot, and now you have memory cells in your body that if you ever came in contact with it, right away you'd be able to respond and it would not make you sick. That's why people get the flu shot every year. And why do we have to get it every year?
Because they change.
They change. Yes?
So every time you get like a pathogen or whatever, you make memory cells every time?
Every time. So I have a series of memory cells in my body. So think about this, and I don't know if I talked about it in this class or AP or wherever I talked about it. Think about kids who go to daycare when they're young versus at grandma's.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Did I talk about that? Who's more likely to get sick?
Grandma.
Ones at grandma, because they didn't have as much experience with pathogens. Yes?
So does polio never change then, since you only get vaccinated once?
Apparently not, yeah. Now, I think I've told you this too. I knew somebody who got chickenpox 5 times because there are 5 different strands of it. Yeah. Go ahead.
So when you have like a cold, does like medicine just speed up the process, or
What medicine does, like I took Advil, sinus, cold, and flu or whatever, it just takes care of your symptoms. So it makes it so you're less uncomfortable. It's going to block your pain receptors. It's going to dry up and act like Benadryl does and make it so you have less sniffly. So it's just masking your symptoms. You're still having everything, but you're not experiencing as much the symptoms of it. Okay, what else? Okay, so let's talk about how that happens. What was funny? Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Jacob, my kidney giver.
Is that the same for antibiotics?
Okay, now antibiotics are different. Let's talk about that. Do antibiotics work against a virus? No. Antibiotics. What does that mean? Anti-life. What you're doing there, when you have bacteria in your body, you're preventing one of 2 things. The antibiotic is either preventing the cell walls of the bacteria from repairing themselves or from building more. So as a result, you're limiting the numbers, and it's more easily than you can take care of it because you've limited the numbers because they can't make more of themselves. Yeah. But people who try to take antibiotics when they have a virus, it's not going to do you any good. Yeah. All right. So we have 2 types of cells. You have B cells and you have T cells. B cells, when you find that virgin B cell, okay, its target are the free floaters. The viruses and bacteria out in your tissue fluids and out in your blood. And the B cells, besides memory cells, they'll make the clone army will be of plasma cells, and plasma cells make antibodies. And antibodies, once released, tag the bacteria, the viruses, and mark them for destruction and disable them so they can't get in your body cells. So B cells actually don't do any killing, but they're behind the scenes of a lot of killing. Okay, because they're saying, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. It's saying who to kill, and the killing takes place more rapidly. T cells, their target is different. Their target is our cells who have these things in them. And we always display what's in us. Remember how we talked about, we have the, on our cell surfaces, we have, what do we have? We have channels, we have what? Carriers, we have receptors, we have cell recognition, right? One of the things we have are called MHC1s and MHC2s. Do you have a memory of that? So most cells have what's called MHC1s, and they display what's in them all the time, whatever's in them. If this is in me, I display this. If this is in me, I display this. If this is in me, I display this. And what I'm saying is, I know, I'm harboring the black phone virus. Go ahead, kill me now. Because if you don't kill me, I'll make more. In fact, when I'm invaded by this virus, I will actually make a chemical called interferon, and I'll secrete it to warn the rest of you. Guard your doors and windows. Lock them, because this virus is running around, and you're less likely then to get invaded. It's kind of like if some pedophile moves into your neighborhood, and it's on the watch list, or you look at the police station, you can see where these McCreepers are living. And now, if you know, across the street, 2 doors down, a pedophile's moved in, okay, you're going to be like on the watch, especially if you have little kids, and you're going to be like, I didn't used to lock my door in the middle of the day, but now I am, okay? And that's what interferon will do. A virus-infected cell says, save yourself. Any second now, I'm going to get killed because I'm holding it, but warning, warning, warning. It sends out this interferon so all the rest of you are more careful. Because what happens is cytotoxic T cells are going to come and kill you when you are harboring those terrorists. Even though you are one of our body cells, and normally you were a friend, because you've gone rogue and you've let a virus in, you have to be killed. Okay? Blue, you're going to take on antibody-mediated slate. You take on T cells. Put it in IYOW, your own words.
Okay, so these cells also basically have
Antibody-mediated and the cells go they stick something onto it so that the T cells can recognize it and give up playing
and those cells will like warn it.
T cells look so
Okay, now, this is a big picture. I want you to ping pong back and forth, and Slate, you'll go first. When the colors change, the explainer changes. Use this as your talking points, but try to explain it, you know, you can amplify your response a little bit, okay? So, who's going first? Slate, this is you. Go, Slate.
I'm sorry, your computer was on my chair. Specific defenses target the foreign cells specific defense cells, D and T lymphocytes, must be synthesized from just 1 to 2 different cells. It's going to take up to 10 minutes.
That's why you have to pull.
B lymphocytes make antibodies that attack
And then T cells are the ones that
Okay, now, next thing I need to do is just break it down by B's and T's so we get a little more specific. So here's a little cartoon to explain this process. Along comes a phagocyte. He recognizes that thing's foreign. He would recognize if anything was foreign. He engulfs it. He destroys it. He displays proudly that he has overtaken it. He would display on a what? An MHC1 or an MHC2? Oh, I haven't taught you that yet, right? Oh, he displays on MHC2. MHC2, I will help you. Now, they started along in this cartoon, and it looks like they're displaying it right up here on his head, but for some reason, now it's down here, looking like, but anyway, so now it's like, here, look what I have, okay? So he now then, okay, anyway, he now then will move around the body looking for the virgin that can, I know, right? I'm sorry, I apologize. Looking for the virgin that can recognize it. And finally finds the virgin T cell who says, I know what that is. And then that virgin T cell goes, ah, and gets all excited. So here he is. I'm all activated because I came in contact with this. Okay? So that's the first part of the acquired immune response. So here's a B cell. He works differently. He doesn't need, T cells need it presented on either what's called an MHC1 or an MHC2. That's the only way you can talk to a T cell. A B cell needs to come in direct contact with that pathogen. It doesn't recognize this flu virus or this flu virus, but it does recognize this one. And he binds directly with the antigen of that particular one. The free floaters that are out and about, that's who he comes in contact with. The T cell that we saw on the previous page, he has to confirm this. So now both these virgin cells are in agreement, yes, this is bad. And that triggers then the clone armies to get formed. You might think, why the redundancy? Why do they have to find? Because think about it. You've got 1 to 2 cells in your entire body that can recognize that particular pathogen. 1 to 2 B cells, 1 to 2 T cells who can recognize that pathogen. Not only do they have to come in contact with it, they have to come in contact with each other and agree about it. And that, my friends, is a really good protective response, even though it takes time. So we don't accidentally trigger it against something we don't want to trigger it against. Like lupus, which we've talked about, where you attack your own body cells. Or multiple sclerosis, or rheumatoid arthritis, where you forget yourself and you start attacking your own tissues. Okay, because every day you have cells, you have food coming in your body every day, different things you're trying and eating, yet it's not putting you into anaphylactic shock. Because they're not saying, this is something we need to be worried about. So now, though, this is a bad guy. They both agree. Where would be a good place for those virgins to hang out to increase the odds that they would come in contact with that pathogen? Where? Not the skin. Think about it. Tell. Lymph nodes. Exactly. Boom, shakalaka. Okay? Because you know all your lymphatic fluid is going to pass through a lymph node eventually, right? And that's more, instead of having to take care of the whole area and patrol your whole leg, just hang out in the lymph node right here, and anything that was in the leg is eventually going to pass through that lymph node. And that's where B and T lymphocytes like to hang out. Feel right here at your throat, especially my sickies. Okay? If they're swollen and tender, your virgins have been found. If not, sorry. You're going to be sick a little longer. Okay? So that's where they're going to find it and activate them. What will those B cells do? B cells will make 2 things. The bulk of their clone army, millions of cells, they will make millions of plasma cells. Plasma cells are the ones that make all these antibodies that get released. They don't even have to go to wherever the battle is. Because as long as they put antibodies into the plasma, the heart will take care of it, because the heart's going to what? Pump and push those things all over the place. And they're all throughout your body, all throughout your tissues. And along that note, none of you are pregnant right now, I hope. Okay? Okay, because that would not be helpful for your education right now. But if you were pregnant and you had a baby, and later in life if you are pregnant, all of your antibodies, as long as you're breastfeeding, move right from the breast milk into the baby. So you're protecting your baby with your antibodies. Does that make sense? Now they won't have any memory cells, they won't have developed any of those, but they'll do that later, but at least while they're young, they'll have your borrowed immunity that they can use. Okay? So these antibodies will go all through your body, and then memory cells are for next time. Okay, now, I have told the story. Oh, there's more to the story. Sorry. So here, these antibodies have tagged him, and they're specific to that particular antigen, and now this macrophage is more likely to eat him and destroy him, and the memory cells are for next time. Now, I think I gave you this example, and think about it now with your knowledge of B cells. I've told you I've been tested for HIV twice. Why have I been tested for HIV twice? I've been pregnant twice. And when you are pregnant, they want to know if there could be any complications, so they test to see if you have HIV. Now, what they test for, I was negative on both times. What they're looking for at the test for antibodies. Why? That's right. If I have antibodies against HIV, it means I've been exposed to HIV. But since I don't have the antibodies, they know I don't have what? HIV. That's why you get a TB test and they put a little something under your skin. because if you've ever been exposed to TB before, then you'll have a reaction to it. And then that's why you come back a couple days later to have them look at your TB test to see if you've been exposed to tuberculosis. If you have no reaction to it, then you've never been exposed to that antigen. And you don't have any T cells that are responding to that. Okay? So, now, not it. Whoever is not it.
You hit my leg.
Yes, you are.
You're going.
Okay, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to make it bigger. But whoever is not it, pass or play, explain what's going on. Okay, go ahead.
And then that allows the T cell, and then the T cell, and then take that out for killing and then store that memory for the memory T cell.
Okay, I'm going to jump in for a minute. So cytokines are chemical signals. Remember how I told you about the one about the pedophile moving in next door and how you could secrete interferon? Warning if you've been infected. There are other kind of cytokines called interleukins. And this B cell is secreting, this T cell is secreting interleukins, this chemical, and it's like Red Bull. Gets all of them amped up. It's like the blood in the water and the shark frenzy. And when interleukins are secreted, it makes all the B cells make more antibodies. It makes the cytotoxic T cells kill more. It just amps up the whole immune response. And helper T cells will secrete that. Okay, keep going. I have more. Keep going. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, you see the whole thing? All right. So now, a closer look. These things right here, the circulating antibodies. Let's take a closer look at those antibodies. Okay? So the antibodies are made out of 2 long chains, 2 short chains. The top part here is the variable part that's specific to each antigen. The base right here, there's about 5 categories here. This decides how you're going to get killed, whatever the base is. And you don't need to know all of these, but you do need to know a couple. Okay? Antibodies, another name for them is immunoglobulins. Opsonins is another name for them. But the most common one is IgG, just like I showed you. And IgG, immunoglobulin G, that category is the most numerous, marks things for destruction. There are variations on this as well. Okay, IgM, I don't know if you can see it, but all the bases are held together here in the center, about 5 of them. And they're really good for clotting or clumping things together, because they all have 2 arms. They can all hold on to 2 things, and there's 5 of them, so there's like 10 different things they can hang on to at the same time. So it can destroy it that way. IgA is found in your throat. IgD talks about maturing B cells, but this is the one I want you to pay attention to. IgE. And IgE, the base of it will dock into a mast cell. What do you remember that a mast cell does? Secretes histamine. That's how a mast cell knows to start secreting histamine, is when an antibody docks and it's hanging on to the antigen. Now, do I have any, where are my allergy people? One more time. Allergies, get allergies. So you'll respond faster to the allergen the more you're exposed to it. And you can increase your response every single time because you have more antibodies docking into more mast cells, triggering that response. Do I have any EpiPen people in here? You have an EpiPen? Oh, OFEC has an EpiPen. Any other EpiPenners? So what OFEC has to, what is he allergic to?
Bees.
Bees. So the more times he's stung by a bee, the more amped up his response will be, the more dangerous it can become as a result of that. And that's when you talk about like anaphylactic shock and things like that, because you're just really overreacting to the problem. You can see what's going on here, and Slate, explain what's going on here. You should be able to put this in your own words. Go ahead, Slated one. And Blue, this one belongs to you. Go ahead, Blue.
So you have a bacterium that tries to attack antibiotics and macrophages.
Great explanation.
And Slate, we've seen these guys before. Go ahead. So antibodies will trigger this hole drilling that we talked about. Remember how we talked about drilling holes, those complement proteins? And then water goes in and then they burst? So antibodies can trigger that. And then back to Blue, this is you.
So you have a mast cell and when your antigen docks into your
Attacks the antigen, and the mast and then
Okay, to close this topic out, which one of you explained, which one of you explained this? One of you did, right? The other bio,
it was not it.
okay, it was a not it, yeah. Whoever explained that one, I want the other bio buddy to explain this one. I'll give you your talking points. You can add your own words. I'll just give you a few headliners on here. Go ahead. Start. Explain the whole of yourself.
T-cell will be like,
What cells have create antibodies? It has a mind of its
they'll start like
own.
building their, they start building their
Memory cells for the code. So then there's memory cells.
All right, let's hit our notes on that. Antibody-mediated response. Targets. So where we are?
Yes.
Free-floating viruses, bacteria, or toxins. Free-floating viruses, bacteria, or toxins. The cells are B cells, which originate and mature in the bone marrow. Yay! When a virgin cell is triggered by an antigen, two cells are formed. Plasma cells that mature and produce antibodies specific to the antigen. When the fighting is over, they will commit apoptosis in order to maintain yes, what joy has filled my soul. The other type of cells are memory cells that will recognize the same antigen in the future. Okay, clonal selection, what does that mean? Clones of the cell that recognize and produce antibodies build an army of cells that do the same. Build an army of cells that do the same.
It's recognize. There's no K in there. Well, recognize.
Okay? And antibodies, what shape are they? Y-shaped. And they bind to and mark antigens for destruction. Mark antigens for destruction. The mode of the destruction is determined by the base of the Y. Determined by the base of the Y.
Like a cell.
Okay? You good on B cells? Good? Okay. So now those are the free floaters. Now let's talk about cell-to-cell combat. That's the T cells. Okay? And virgin Ts have to be triggered. An antigen-presenting cell has to eat something. And let me, it could be a neutrophil. It could be a dendritic cell. It could be a macrophage or a B cell. Okay? They have to present it to the T cell and say, this is what's out here. And once they're stimulated, these virgins will make three types of cells. And let's go over them. Cytotoxic T cells. What does that sound like it does? They kill. Cyte is cell, toxic, bad. Okay. Cytotoxic T cells. These are most like natural killer cells, but they are specific to a cell displaying just the black phone virus. They could go by somebody who has a yellow phone and they're like, I don't know you, you're fine. They will only kill those showing the black phone virus. A different T cell will kill the yellow phone virus. A different T cell will kill those cells harboring the pink phone virus. Okay? So cytotoxic T cells are specific. Helper T cells do exactly like that. They help, they encourage, they say let's go, let's kill. They'll secrete interleukins, which motivate everybody to kill. They'll make the B cells make more antibodies. They'll make the cytotoxic T cells kill more. And memory cells, just like before, are for next time. So how do you talk to a T cell? You talk to them on either an MHC1 or an MHC2. So these would be two different cells. This cell is displaying the antigen, which is this brownish thing, on an MHC1. And a T cell is receiving that information. Almost every cell in your entire body has MHC1s. Only a few cells have MHC2. So if you display on an MHC1, you're done. You're going to get killed. If you display on an MHC2, I will help you. If you display on an MHC2, you're saying, I caught this thing, I destroyed him, and I'm showing you a part of what I caught, and I want you to help me fight him. That's on MHC2s. I will help you. Okay? So here, I want blue, you're the you're out. Slate, you're the you're safe. See if you can explain both of these pictures, all the labels. Look at them, see if you can understand them. The red triangle is the antigen. Go.
So if you're an infected
Okay, so I don't know where it kicked out because we had a problem with the Wi-Fi, but we're picking up at T cells, and we're talking about how T cells do cell-to-cell combat. We just reviewed that, and there are 3 types of T cells made. Cytotoxic T cells do what? Okay, kill. Helper Ts. They increase the immune response, right? And memory T cells are for next time. So back to here. So MHC1s, when they display, this little C stands for cytotoxic T cell. This is an infected cell. It's stabilized right here by a protein. Now this is AP level right here, but I know you can understand it. The stabilizing protein from a cytotoxic T cell is called a CD8 protein. And the way I remember that is you will get ate, like you will be killed. Somebody will ate you. Ate, like eat, ate, I ate you. Oh. Okay, sorry. I know, it's a stretch. It's a stretch. This one's a little slightly better. Here's an antigen presenting cell. He's presenting this antigen on an MHC what? 2. I will help you. What does this T little h stand for? Helper cell. It's stabilized with a different protein, a CD4. I am for you, not against you. All right. Yeah, here are 3 different scenarios. There are 3 different statements, 3 different claims. Support that claim. Why is that true? I don't care how you break it up. You can do each one together or assign them to each other, but explain all 3. Go. In your own words.
Foreign cell TC cells that are hard.
It's not there's an antigen in the B cell. You don't belong here.
All right. So now tell me, Why would a T cell ignore this first one? Any guesses? It's an MHC marker, and T cells respond to MHC markers, but this particular MHC marker is empty. So it ignores empty MHC markers. Okay, why would a B cell ignore this? They don't talk to MHCs. T cells care about MHCs, B cells don't. So you don't, that's why a B cell would ignore it. Okay, in this case, a T cell starts an immune response because it's engulfed this pathogen, it's processed it, and it's displaying part of it on an MHC. So a T cell will respond to that. A B cell will not. B cells have to respond to the actual pathogen. And so it will come in contact with that, and that will trigger its immune response. Check with your bio buddy, see if they're in the Shadowlands or Sunshine on that one.
I got that.
You want to understand it.
I get it.
Okay? So again, focusing on T cells. Let me get your eyes up here, okay? Eyes up here. Scary things going on next door. So here's a stem cell. Look up here. Those are just men walking. It's okay. Oh, now you all have to. Strange man, stranger danger. Interference. Okay, so here's a T cell precursor. Okay, where do we know T cells need to go to mature? Thymus. Uh-oh, he ditched out of school. He's just going to become a natural killer. Exactly. You would have to watch the video to understand. Okay, he's going into the school of thymus. He can become eventually a cytotoxic T cell who kills ones that have display on an MHC1, and you're done. Okay? MHC helper T cells will respond to MHC2s. Okay, and they'll tell them, hey, you B cells secrete more antibodies, or you T cells kill more. Okay, here is some cytotoxic T cells killing. Here's another little cartoon. These are some bad guys. Obviously, they were cooks that went bad. He's got a club. He's obviously drinking liquor. He's very bad. He's, okay, an antigen presenting cell is presenting them. And this helper T cell is agreeing with the B cell. The B cell, when he's stimulated, oh, you can't hear him.
I heard it.
He just has to do, he doesn't even have to go to the scene. He's like in the Air Force, and he can just do a flyby and drop his antibodies. Now, T cells, here's an infected body cell. Here are bacteria. I don't know what he is. This is a worm. This is it's a turkey leg. Yeah, that's it. He's an eosinophil. They like to attack. Yes?
Can you go back to that one diagram?
Yes. Which one?
The one that was like with the dropout of small comments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where else could you find this picture?
On your
My slideshow. I'm just telling you. Got it? We good? Okay. Right here, youngest bio buddy, I want you to explain what is going on right here. Go ahead, youngest bio buddy. All right. Now, here you go. There is going to be a picture that you won't be able to see, but you do not need it to answer the question. So I'm just telling you ahead of time. It's going to say, look at this picture, and you're going to be like, where? And I'm going to say, it's nowhere. I'm going to pause you for a minute while they are answering. Okay, I'm going to come back. Make your final commitments if you haven't already. All right. Let's see how you did. Which applies to T cells 31. Oh, no. Somebody missed it. Who matures in the bone marrow? B B cells. How many of you got 100% on all 4?
I don't know.
Biological badass. Awesome.
We don't know.
You don't know yet?
No, you
can go forward.
All right. Come back to me. Antibody-mediated immunity is most directly associated with B cells. A couple of you put T cells. Look at your BioBuddy screen. Shame or satisfaction? Oh, bad. Plasma cells are B cells that are actively secreting antibodies. Yes. 2 of you said they're the same as memory cells. No. Hence the name plasma cell, memory cell. 2 different names. 6 of you told me plasma cells are formed in your blood plasma. No. Plasma cells will hang out there, but they're formed by what? Activated B cells. All right? 3 of you said plasma cells are inactive T cells carried in the plasma. Shame, shame, shame. No. And 2 of you said a type of red blood cell. Really? Check your BioBuddies screen right now. Help them if they struggle. 19 of you should be helper T cells right now. 19 of you be a helper T cell. Help them. I don't. Okay, last question. Darn it, you couldn't get 100 on this. If a cytotoxic T cell is killing, it has to be killing something that's displaying on an MHC1 because you are done. Okay, so I made a little Venn diagram to try to help you understand this and kind of hit the big ticket items. Maybe one of you can take the lead on explaining this Venn diagram to your BioBuddy.
Whoa.
I don't know why I did that. It's cool. It didn't do it for the other one.
Just caught the light.
You saw
It's been twice.
All right.
Every single time.
And I know, I'm just double checking. You know where a Venn diagram overlaps. That means what? They're the same. Okay. So this shows you how they're unique. This shows you how they're the same. So on the bottom of your notes where it says both B and T cells are specific. Their receptors can only recognize 1 to 2 antigens. Therefore, we must have millions of varieties of B and T cells prepared for any potential antigen in our lifetime. Therefore, we must have millions of varieties of virgin Bs and virgin Ts. Living in you right now are millions of virgins. Yes?
We missed the box above the cell.
Oh, I didn't do any of that one? My bad. I'll go back and do that.
Okay.
For any potential antigen in our lifetime. Okay, go back to cell-mediated immune response. Targets. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Our own infected cells. Our own infected cells. T cells which originate in the bone marrow and mature in the thymus gland. Well done. When a virgin T cell is triggered by a presentation cell, what does APC stand for? Antigen
presenting
cell. Good. Triggered by a presentation cell displaying the antigen on an MHC2 protein, it will mature and form 3 types of cells. Cytotoxic T cells that kill any cell displaying the foreign antigen. Cytotoxic T cells that kill any cell displaying the foreign antigen. Helper T cells are like an army general, encouraging and guiding the response. Encouraging and guiding the response. Memory T cells are for next time. You get clone armies, you get death of a clone army afterwards, that's the same. MHC proteins, there are 2 types. MHC1 is on almost, look at me, all cells.
Oh my gosh. 3 people.
Can be killed in displaying foreign antigen as well. And MHC2 is on antigen presenting cells. antigen-presenting cells like macrophage, dendritic cells, and B cells. Okay, now take a look up here. You have great pictures in your book that review the two and kind of put it all together. So this is showing you all the non-specific defenses that you're born with. Here are the specific defenses. These guys can come help out the Navy SEALs. They do help. And I have a quick little video to show you this. Just to remind you, opsonins are like antibodies. So is that an MHC1 or an MHC2? So this could be a macrophage. Let's fight, let's fight. That's the Red Bull. And it'll make B cells release antibodies. Helper T cells will encourage those B cells to release those antibodies. Understood what we've just talked through, that is the hardest part of this chapter. Okay? Innate response, you know you have barriers. You know about the innate response. Now you know about the acquired or adaptive response. So there's just a couple things we need to revisit. Okay? So your immunity, innate, you're born with. We already talked about all these guys. Macrophages, dendritic cells, neutrophils, and acquired, meaning you're exposed to something in your lifetime to have this. You can have active, and this is what you really want. You want active immunity, so wherever you go, you're prepared to fight this. And that means you have memory cells if you have active immunity. And you could have that because somebody made you sick. You could have been naturally exposed to it, or maybe you got a shot. Okay, so there's natural and artificial underneath active immunity. This again means that you have memory cells for next time. Passive immunity, this is in a pinch. This could be you got bit by a snake, so you need antibodies now, okay, because you can't handle the venom. So you could get a shot of antibodies. It's called a gamma globulin shot when you get that. Or another, and this is passive, so you don't have any memory of this. It's not going to protect you in the future because you're just annihilating it with borrowed immunity. Again, this is an advantage of breast milk, that you're feeding your baby, all of your antibodies are getting into their system, so whatever you're protected against, they're protected against as well. So on your notes where it says active versus passive, active means you were actually exposed to the antigen. Exposed to the antigen. You develop B and T cells that can fight the infection and memory cells for future encounters. This can be induced by vaccines, which is a weakened version of the antigen. Passive immunity, short-lived because it is borrowed. You're borrowing another's antibodies when a person is in immediate danger. Immediate danger. No time for learning. You do not develop any memory cells. Do not develop any memory cells. Yes, ma'am?
What was number 2 on the box above active immunity?
Memory.
Okay, thank you.
So do not develop any memory cells. And number 3, your examples are breast milk and gamma globulin shots with antibodies. Cytokines are how cells talk without contact. Cytokines are defined as signaling molecules. Signaling, I'm signaling you. Signaling molecules produced by either lymphocytes, monocytes, or other cells. They stimulate white blood cells. Number 2, white blood cell formation. 2 big categories, interferons and interleukins. Blue, you explain interferons. I've already explained it to you, so you should know what it is. Oh, ignore this box. The new notebook screwed up the box. Just look at the picture behind it.
So the virus enters your host cell and it starts replicating.
So I don't know if that's too hard to look at. It's annoying the heck out of me. If you look here, so interferon, a virus-infected cell, he'll release it as a warning to everybody else. This is when I give you the example of a pedophile moving into your neighborhood. Interferon released by virus-infected cells. Released by virus-infected cells as a warning. Interleukins are released by immune cells to stimulate other immune cells. Interleukin released by immune cells to stimulate other immune cells. I remember that one because interleukin, leukocytes, white blood cells, I'm stimulating them. Interferons, I'm trying to interfere with what a virus is doing. Okay, and then what happens when things can go bad? We've already talked about these. Allergies are triggered by allergens, and we listed those. It occurs, immediate response, it occurs within seconds. Similar like cold-like symptoms. And then bad, epipennus, would be if you went into anaphylactic shock. So anaphylactic shock is characterized by a sudden life-threatening drop in blood pressure. Yes? Sweetheart, I have a cup. Do you just want some water? Okay, okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay,
She said that it was dropping blood pressure.
yeah. Drop in blood pressure. A delayed response, have any of you ever gotten poison oak? And we'll get it worse next time. You know why? We have what cells? Memory cells. Every single time you get it worse. So delayed response is initiated by memory T cells. Memory T cells. And the response is regulated by cytokines. Examples, TB test, poison ivory, cheap jewelry. Guys, that's why you don't give women cheap jewelry. Yes?
For anaphylactic shock, what was the...
Blood pressure. Okay, and we have talked about blood type and how if you're type A blood, you can get A blood, but you can't get what? B blood. Yeah. So tissue type reactions, you attack any blood that you can build antibodies against. Attack any blood that you can build antibodies against. Okay, and back to Jacob giving me that kidney. Here's a picture of the surgery when Jacob gave me his kidney. No. Tissue rejection can be prevented. Tissue rejection can be prevented for some time with the administration of immunosuppressant drugs. Isn't that a great picture before lunch? Totally.
It's not that.
It's not that bad. Yeah. And then disorders. This results when cytotoxic T cells or antibodies mistakenly attack the body's own cells as if they had foreign antigens. Results when cytotoxic T cells or antibodies mistakenly attack the body's own cells as if they had foreign antigens. So lupus is an example of this. Again, does anybody know somebody who has lupus? Anybody? Painful, right? For those of you that know somebody? Very painful. Another one is multiple sclerosis. You attack your own coverings of your nerves. The causes are unknown, but sometimes appear following recovery from an infection. Following recovery from an infection. Then I gave you some examples. There are no cures. No cures. You can just treat it with drugs. All right, here you go. Got 3 questions. Let's go. Let's go, Chi-Chi.
Oh, can you give to anyone?
Oh, milk.
Let's go, Doggo. I can't read. Is that what it is, Doggo? And Apple. Chi-Chi again.
I think it is. You're welcome to change.
Oh, vaccine. You
Guys, let's go.
I'm like 90% sure you're wrong.
Come on, team.
Okay, I'm not waiting anymore.
Yes, okay. Okay.
Oh, I was like, wait, whoa.
Can you see all 3 of your answers if you toggle through? Did you get undies? Yeah. Okay, let's talk. Come back to me. You have a quiz in 46 hours. Quiz in 46 hours. So a person with AB blood could receive from which of the following blood types? Could they receive from somebody who has A?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not going to attack A because they have A. Can they receive from B?
Yeah.
Yes, because they have B. Could they receive somebody from AB? Yes, that's their blood type. Can they receive O?
Yeah.
Yes, because it has no antigens. So they're the universal receiver, whereas O is the universal donor. Good. Mast cell secretion occurs after an allergen combines with IgE. You know, I remember that? Eat you. Eat you. Like you have an allergy. Like that. And vaccines are associated with active immunity and long-lasting immunity. Bunch of you missed that. Okay. All right. So the last thing was just going to ask you, what do you feel confident about and what do you need to study? I'll let you process that on your own so you can pack up, but definitely review. And if you want some more help with this, I will see you 7th period.
Oh, I wasn't.
I hope you review, and if you're hungry, have a piece of toast.